Today, we're going to dive into something really cool and, believe it or not, super relevant, an ancient text called the Sutra of the Hundred Parables.
You know, have you ever just stopped and wondered, why do smart people, people who should know better, sometimes do the most foolish things? We've all seen it, right? Maybe we've even been that person. Well, it turns out we're not the first to ask this, not by a long shot.
And one of the most brilliant sets of answers comes from this text right here, the Sutra of the Hundred Parables. We're talking about a collection of stories from the 5th century. That's over 1,500 years ago. And it uses these simple, sometimes genuinely funny fables to show us all the common ways our own brains can trick us.
So let's get into it. We're going to explore some of these ancient answers to our very modern-feeling questions. You'll see how these old stories can feel like they were written about us today.
Okay, so we're going to unpack 3 classic parables from the Sutra. And trust me, you're going to be surprised at how much they hit home.
First up, we have a story called Too Much Salt, and it's all about that classic mistake, taking a good thing way too far.
So, picture this. A guy's eating a meal and it's just bland. The host comes over, sprinkles a little salt on it, and bam! The dish is totally transformed. It's incredible. And for this man, it's like a light bulb goes off in his head.
So here's how his brain works. He thinks, wait a minute, the salt is what made it delicious. So if a tiny bit of salt made it good, then a whole lot of salt must make it absolutely amazing, right? You can see the flawed logic right there, the simple A to B thinking. And what does he do next? He takes that thought to its most logical and most ridiculous conclusion. He figures, why even bother with the food? He just shoves a whole handful of pure salt into his mouth. And yeah, as you can guess, the result was not delicious. It was just painful.
This is such a perfect illustration of what we could call the folly of extremism. You know how it goes. We find one thing that works. Maybe it's a new diet, a workout routine, a productivity hack, and we get so excited that we push it until the very thing that was helping us starts to hurt us.
Okay, let's move on to our next story. This one switches gears from food to architecture, but it zeroes in on another one of our favorite human flaws, impatience.
So in this story, we have this rich guy. But he's not the sharpest tool in the shed. He's walking around and sees this absolutely gorgeous 3-story house. He's just blown away by it. And he decides right then and there, I have to have one just like that. So he finds a carpenter and says, build me that house. The carpenter's like, great, let's get started, and begins to lay the foundation. But the rich man stops him. He says, whoa, what are you doing? I don't care about the bottom 2 floors. Look at that house. The top floor is the best part. Just build me that one, the top one. The carpenter is, completely confused. He tries to explain, sir, that's not how buildings work. You can't have a 3rd floor without a 1st and 2nd floor to hold it up. But the foolish man just doesn't get it. He just keeps insisting, demanding the prize without any of the groundwork. And this is just a perfect takedown of the folly of impatience, isn't it? It's that desire to get the reward without going through the process. It's the get-rich-quick mindset, it's wanting a PhD without going to class, it's wanting the result without putting in the work. All right, for our last parable, we've got one called Cutting Down the Tree, and this one is a masterclass in the dangers of being short-sighted.
So, here's the scene. A man finds this incredible tree, and it's loaded with the most delicious-looking fruit he's ever seen. He's got to have it. But there's a catch. All the best fruit is way up on the highest branches, totally out of his reach. So he thinks for a second, and he comes up with his brilliant plan. Does he look for a ladder? No. Does he try to climb it? Nope. He grabs an axe and he chops the entire tree down.
And of course, in his rush for that quick, easy prize, he not only crushes most of the fruit when the tree falls, but he's also just destroyed the one thing that would have given him fruit for years and years to come. A total, permanent loss, all for one moment of convenience.
This is the folly of short-term gain. Plain and simple. It's like a company burning out its best people just to hit a quarterly target. You get a tiny bump on a spreadsheet, but you've destroyed the very resource that was creating all the value in the first place. So we've got the salt, the house, the tree. What's the thread connecting all of these? What's the real wisdom we're supposed to get from watching these so-called fools?
Well, what's so powerful about these stories is that they're not just random mistakes. They're patterns of foolishness. There's taking a good thing to a destructive extreme. There's wanting the reward without building the foundation. And there's destroying the source of your success for a quick win. These aren't just ancient problems. They're cognitive traps we can all fall into right now.
And that's the real genius here. The point isn't to laugh at the silly man eating a pile of salt. The point is to see these stories as mirrors. They reflect our own tendencies to think in ways that are too simple, too impatient, or too focused on the immediate moment.
And that really brings us to the core lesson of the whole text. True wisdom isn't about thinking you're too smart to be foolish. No, it's the exact opposite. Wisdom begins the second you recognize your own capacity for foolishness, the moment you see these patterns in yourself.
So I'll just leave you with this to chew on. Which of these foolish parables might be playing out in your own life right now? Are you eating too much salt? Trying to build the top floor first? Or are you getting ready to chop down a valuable tree? And the real question is, how are you going to rewrite the ending?